What you saying, ladies and gents, it is your boy BucketHatSam, and yes, we are back again today for another video. Today's video, I'm going to be going through every single Premier League club and telling you one player that I love from them. And for that, smash that like button and do subscribe. Let's get right into it. So for our first club, we're going to be going through these in the alphabetical order. So we obviously got to start off with the Arsenal. The mighty Arsenal have had a very, very good season. And there's one player, and I've said it on this channel before, Martin Ødegaard. I have fallen in love with this guy. I loved him before, and I love him now. There was a lot of pressure on him from a young age when he was at Real Madrid. And he's hit the heights we were all expecting him at Arsenal so far this season. And the way he moves the ball, honestly, it's amazing to watch. The ball is like it's stuck to his foot. And he plays all types of passes and links up. And if you watch Arsenal, everything comes through him. He just hovers from side to side. So he has to be my favourite player for the mighty Arsenal. Now, second in the alphabet, we have obviously got Aston Villa. And Aston Villa, again, this is a really, really easy one. It has to be Philippe Coutinho. Similar kind of player to Martin Ødegaard, a creative midfielder. But there's something about Philippe Coutinho at Aston Villa which I still find mental that he's at the club anyway, to be honest. But not only that, he has been amazing for them this season. He's been a breath of fresh air, and he's a go-to player that they turn to. You can see what he does with the ball again, and I just can't wait to see that trademark when he cuts it on that right foot and he pings it into that far right-hand corner, top bins. He's a great player, very, very tricky to play against, great on the ball, and he's one of those players that you sit on the edge of the seat because you don't know what he's going to do, that creative spark and the magic that Philippe Coutinho brings. Next, we have Brentford, and it's, again, this one's a really easy one. This one's slightly different to the last two. This is Pontus Jansson. There's something about Pontus Jansson that I absolutely love. He's a proper old-school centre-half. He's a thug, and he just winds up strikers. He dives all around a lot. He clears the ball. He loves going to challenges hard. He's always got a yellow card, and the thing is, he's got a mistake in him. So whenever you watch him, you know something's going to happen with him, and that's why I love him. Next, we have Brighton, and before everyone knew it used to be Dan Burn, but the man who has taken the hotspot for me is Robert Sanchez. As a goalkeeper, I absolutely love him. This guy's come on leaps and bounds this season, and the way he distributes the ball from the goal, he starts so many attacks. I absolutely love him. He's commanding, he's confident, and we've seen him get into the Spain squad because he's a great, great keeper. So it has to be Robert Sanchez for me. Now on to Burnley, and this one will surprise people, but it's got to be Maxwell Cornet for me. Maxwell Cornet has been a breath of fresh air at Burnley, a player that we don't see Burnley very often going in for players from all around Europe, and this guy, as I said, has been absolutely integral to Burnley, gaining that momentum, a little bit of form to potentially, whether they stay up, who knows, but he has been amazing for them. Scored all types of goals, a great player, very direct, and I used to love him, obviously, when I went to watch him play at Lyon a few seasons back. But a great player, great signing for Burnley, and he's been class for them. Great, great player. And I've said great so many times because that's how great he is. Next, we have Chelsea, and this one, if you've watched this channel before, you will all know who I'm going to say for this. It has to be the boy Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is a player who we all knew would hit the heights. Well, I say we all knew. No one knew other than me. I felt like I got so much stick online for saying that this guy will go to that next level. And we're starting to see it. Him in that false nine, the way he operates with the ball, he's so good. And he's starting to have that little bit of fight in him. We saw it against Newcastle. He's starting to leave a little cheeky elbow in every now and then, starting to get that little bit of fight that obviously a lot of people used to say, okay, he got bullied and he couldn't fit to the strength of this league and the pace of it, but he is starting to. He's had a great season and he's a big game player, so it has to be Kai Havertz for me. Now for Crystal Palace, this one's an easy one. It's got to be Michael Olise. They signed him from Reading last summer, and this guy has been so good for them this season. Honestly, the way he dribbles with that left foot, you know he's going to cut onto that left foot. You know he's going to come inside from that right every single time, but no one can defend against it because it's simply so effective. It's like Iron Robin-esque. And the thing is, the one question I always have with wingers like this, can they add goals and assists? Can they get those goal contributions? And he really has done. And the performance for me that really showed me this guy is serious was against Millwall when he was getting a bottle thrown at him. And you saw his mentality at a young age to be able to react like he did to the Millwall fans. You've got to respect it. Very, very good season this year. He's been keeping it every year. He's out of the squad. That's how good he is. And that's why Vieira's men are doing so well. Now on to Everton. They've had a pretty poor season, let's be honest. They've really struggled, but the one man for me who I absolutely love has got to be Seamus Coleman. Yes, he's had a bit of a poor season and he's coming to the end of his career, but this is a guy who just bleeds Everton, and he's a proper old school right back. He loves a challenge, he goes forward, he defends well, but his legs are starting to go. But he's a player that I've respected for many, many years, a player who's been at Everton through thick and thin, and you've got to respect it. He's coming to the end. It's him and Leighton Baines, the boys that were flying the Everton colours high, and it's a shame to see Seamus coming to the end of his career, but what a career he's had. One of my favourite players, always loved watching him play. Now on to Leeds. Now this one's a little bit left field again. For Leeds, it's got to be Meslier, and the thing is with Meslier, a lot of people, when you look at Leeds, you know they ship a lot of goals, so people say, oh, defending's not great, or the goalkeeper's not great, but Meslier has a very, very good season. He's still so young, and the confidence, the sheer, some people may say arrogance or naivety, but the way he plays, honestly, is amazing. His distribution is class, and he backs himself no matter what. And the thing is, because his goal is constantly getting peppered because of Leeds' defence, he's been really called into action. And this season, I think he's had a pretty solid season out of a bunch where Leeds, they've not been as up to standard as the season before. Now on to Leicester. And again, this Leicester siders, I wouldn't say struggle, but it's not been the best of seasons for them so far. But it's got to be, for me, Harvey Barnes. And that is not just because of me being a West Brom fan and the time he had at West Brom, but the way he plays with no pressure on his shoulders. He drives with the ball. He's so direct. And the thing is, he's not fancy footwork. He's not going to do step-overs. He just beats players with sheer pace and movement. And he's so direct. He takes everything on early. And that's it. You don't know what you're going to get from him because he just runs at you every single time, and it's so simple and so effective. A great player, and definitely unlucky to not make this England squad due to injuries, but he will go far, I'll tell you that now. Liverpool now, and there are many players again we could discuss for this. Liverpool, it's just so much talent on display, let's be honest. But one player who I've really shone to when he's joined is Luis Diaz. Not many players come to sides and hit the standards that they do in January so fast, and this guy has taken to Liverpool like a duck to water and taken to the Premier League the same. He is so good again, so direct. And there's little things like he does no-look passes all the time for no reason. That little bit of flair, which again gets you out of your chair, it gets you excited. And he's a man who gets goals and he gets assists. You don't know what you're going to get from him because he's still new, but he's tenacious and I really like him and he keeps going. If he doesn't beat the man, he thinks, okay, do you know what? I'll try again, I'll beat the second time. And he keeps on going and I love that mentality. He's a winner and he will win things with this Liverpool side. He already has got a winner's medal, obviously, with the cup. But I tell you now, this guy could seriously mount a challenge from Sadio Mane's position. So watch out. Great player and I absolutely love him. Manchester City now, there are so many players again. It's the same as Liverpool. There are so many players in this pot of just amazing squad. It's honestly unreal when you look at this squad. They have got 3 starting 11s that could potentially win the league, let's be honest. But one player for me who stands out every time, I know it's a cop-out, but it's got to be Kevin De Bruyne. I have never seen a player in my time with such great vision. The way he whips that ball in is insane. Dead ball situations, he scores goals right foot, left foot. And the thing is, this season, I've seen him add to his defensive style a lot more. And he's a bit more tenacious, flying into challenges and doing that dirty work backwards, which is another thing I do really respect about him. But a great all-round midfielder. I would say the best midfielder on the planet right now. If I'm honest, creative-wise, there's no one on his level. What he can do with the ball is just ridiculous. And the goals he scores, he only scores screamers, let's be honest. And his left foot, his weak foot shots, they're powerful as well. Great player. Now on to Manchester United, and this is a difficult one. There aren't many players that you would want to choose, let's be honest. They've had a really difficult season. Many players who were at once at great heights, like Marcus Rashford, players that I was in love with, or were in love with, sorry. But they've fallen off a lot this season. But one man who has really shone for me is Fred. And the reason why I love him so much is the fact that he's turned all the hate and all the criticism and he's had a great season. And we're starting to see a new player under Ralph Rangnick. And the way he drives with the ball, we're starting to see a £50 million centre midfielder. He does the defensive work and he drives with it now. We've seen in that Atletico game, he was the only player for me that shone. And he's showing a different side of the game that we didn't see when he first joined. But he's a player who's had a lot of sticks since he joined. But we're starting to see it. There's flickers of it, and I really like that. And I do want him to do well. There's something about it, and I just want him to do well. But I don't think it's helped with the rest of the squad and the demise of Man United since he's joined. But for me, it has to be Fred. Now, on to Newcastle. And it feels crazy to say how much their season's been a roller coaster. It was so far down, everyone thought they're relegated, they're gone. And since Eddie Howe came in and the investment and the money they spent, they've turned it around. They've changed everything. They've been so good. And there are so many players I could have picked from, so many players that I look at and I think, wow, they've changed under Eddie Howe and the recent players, whether it's competitive nature now with the squad, players fighting for the starting 11, whether it's the manager, who knows, but they've changed. And one player I think has been the biggest change is Jonjo Shelvey, and that's why reportedly he's been offered a new contract. His game now is completely changed. He's the player that we all knew was down there. The fact that he was once at Liverpool, we all knew he was a great player. We've seen flickers of it, but we haven't seen it consistently. And he's starting to show that consistency that we all wanted from him. He has got ridiculous vision. And the problem was when he was under Steve Bruce, sometimes you questioned his fitness and you questioned the fact that he constantly got yellow and red cards. But now he's changed, man. And he's been absolutely huge for Newcastle this season. And a player that I really enjoy watching. He just sprays it around. Gerrard-esque, I'd compare him to. Now on to Norwich. And again, they've had a very poor season, let's be honest. They've got better under Dean Smith. But one player who I've enjoyed watching this season has got to be Billy Gilmour. I know he's on loan from Chelsea, but you can just see he's got a touch of class and he's in a struggling side. It's going to really help him this. And a lot of people might say, being in a struggling side, how's it going to help him? He's playing a different way. He's now playing in a side where, not unlike Chelsea, they won't have the ball, they're sat back, and he's just tenacious and he drives Norwich forward. And you can see the touch of class. He shines in that Norwich side and he's been very good for them this season. And a player who surprises me that Chelsea loaned him out, but it can only help him in the future. And I do hope to see him again in a Chelsea shirt. Now on to Southampton. So many players again that we could discuss, but it's got to be Romeu. Romeu, who plays in the heart of the midfield, is a player who I think is criminally underrated in the Premier League. One of the best centre midfielders, just does the dirty work, breaks up play, moves it on. It's so simple, goes unnoticed, but it is integral to everything that is good about Southampton. He sets the mark, he sets a standard, and it's just a touch of class. If you watch him, the ball he never loses it. It just sticks to his feet and he moves it on. He's got all types of passes, and he's now got a few goals this season. I think he scored an absolute screamer against Norwich, and I was amazed by his performance. A player that I love watching, and honestly, you watch him, he never loses it. He's just so simple, so effective, and that's why he was at Chelsea. He's a great player. We all know it. He just doesn't get the plaudits because he's not the most attractive playmaker or technical player. But honestly, what he does is integral to everything that Southampton do well. Now on to Tottenham, and it's a really difficult one with Tottenham. Again, it's a bit of a roller coaster, really up and down, inconsistent season. But for me, it has got to be Harry Kane. There's something about Harry Kane. I know it helps that he's English, and I love seeing him in the national side. But it's great to see him scoring goals again because everything did go a bit sour with him and Levy in the summer. He wanted out, he didn't get out, but he's now playing well. What could this be? Could I be being a skeptic here and saying, is it because it's coming to the summer, to the transfer window? Who knows, but he's starting to score goals, and it's good for England, especially with the World Cup coming very soon. Yeah, you heard me. I'm looking already forward to the World Cup. But Harry Kane, great player. He can do absolutely everything. He scores goals, he makes assists, he's got vision. He's just everything. He's the most complete striker. It's insane what he can do. Now on to Watford, and it's got to be Dennis for me. Dennis was a player when he signed, I didn't know anything about him, and at the start of the season he scored a couple of goals. I thought, okay, let's wait and see. And he's honestly insane. When you watch him play, he's so direct and he just demands goals. Yes, obviously sometimes he can be extremely greedy and the pass is on, but I love that in him. The fact that he's constantly going for goal, and that's what Watford need, and that's why he's done so well. And considering it, the small fee they paid, he's been integral to everything that Watford have done good at points this season. He's been amazing, and I'll be surprised to see if he's at Watford next season. I think he'll get a move elsewhere, but a player who for me has been absolutely class. Now on to West Ham. Again, there are so many players you could discuss, but it has to be Declan Rice, and I promise you this isn't all just because they're English players, but Declan Rice has changed. He's revolutionised himself and his position. He's gone from a holding midfielder now to a box-to-box midfielder. He's got the stat where he's carried the ball the furthest than any other player in Europe's top 5 divisions. He's been everything good that West Ham have done. He's been part of that Europa League run. He's got the leadership. You wouldn't think he was so young the way he plays. Honestly, he looks like he's been an experienced midfielder for many, many years. A player that I love watching. And he's just little things that he's adding to his game, because we always knew he could make challenges, he could move the ball on, but it's just the way he drives it. Now he's adding a few more skills, better passes, and he's now adding goal contributions to his game. Again, surprising if he stays at West Ham, but his fee will probably be astronomical because he deserves it. He's a great player, and he's great in interviews. Really nice guy. Now on to the final club. It has got to be Wolverhampton Wanderers, and this is a player that really surprised me. I still forget. It's mental to think it that he signed for Wolves when they were in the Championship. What a player Ruben Neves was at Porto, and he still is now. He literally has everything to his game. You can see I love central midfielders, and especially ones that have got all round. He's a great player, and he's been integral to everything that Wolves have done well this season, because they've had a great season in the Brulaga, and he's been great. And as well, he's got great hair. I wish I looked as good as him with a headband on, let's be honest. But that's it. Those are my players that I love at every single Premier League club. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have done, guys, smash that like button and do subscribe. It does really help. But let me know in the comment section below, guys, any other videos you want to see in this international break, or just general in the channel. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Go check out the TikTok. Go check out the podcast. Check out all the socials. Everything will be in the link down below. But thank you guys for watching. As I said, BucketHatSam over and out. Thank you. Goodbye.